Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our days are numbered. Sound like the harbinger of doom, but no, this is the numbered embossing folder. It's an A5 embossing folder from Tim Holtz. I'm going to show you a really cool technique to get the best out of this, one of my all-time favorites. Let's get going. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Here's my folder. This is numbered. The detail and the depth, I know, I say it all the time. It's incredible, it's extraordinary. But the only way to really see that is to pass it through the machine and then to use some of the techniques that we employ to bring out that detail, to let it sing and dance. So I am going to start off by embossing it. I know I could forgo this step, we could just assume that I've embossed it, but I think it's always useful, it's always handy to see it working, particularly for folks who maybe haven't encountered 3D embossing folders before, especially on this scale, because this is an A5 folder. Now, I spritzed with water, just clean water. The reason I did that is so that the fibers of the cardstock stretch, giving you a much cleaner, much crisper emboss. Now, this is my platform. There is a wafer thin die adapter as well, but I don't need that. How do I know? Because the instructions are printed on said platform. So never any confusion. I'm going to put the folder there. It's at a slight angle, you'll note. That always helps when it's feeding through. So the machine is on. And I let the machine do its work. Now with 3D, sometimes we say, run it through twice. You do get a much better emboss, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to press that button, that switches the direction, and it comes out the other side. So that's simplicity itself. Oh, and incidentally, this is the Tim Holtz branded Sizzix switch machine, a constant presence at my making area here at Sizzix. Now, we've got the folder. There it is. Okay, straight away, that looks phenomenal. It really does. I'm not sure if you can pick that up, but it's incredible. But if I start using some techniques with acrylics, or with it, if it was white, I would say I'm going to use inks, distress oxides, whatever inks, whatever your go-to inks are. But because it's black, I'm going to use acrylic. I could use gilding waxes as well to get a metallic look, to bring that to the fore, but today is all about acrylics. And I've got a couple of old friends along with me. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is take a couple of blues, is Bahama blue and Spar blue. Let's pop that on the side, because I'm going to reach for my sea sponge. This is something that I use a lot. It gives me wonderful texture. It's another way of applying acrylic. Of course, we got brushes, we got brayers, we got palette knives, sea sponges. So if I'm going for an effect, which is what I want today, I'm going to use the sea sponge. Now, there's a little bit of this Bahama blue. It's a wonderful patina color. I'm also going to spritz my sea sponge just to soften it. I don't want to wet it, but I'm just going to soften it. It makes it easier to work with. Now, let's pick up some of the color. Now, when we look at the results, if you've seen some of the projects that we've done before, it's like, wow, that's really cool. That's incredible. How do you do that? Well, this is it, my friends. It's so simple. I'm not going for full blanket coverage. I'm just picking out certain areas. It is a completely random occurrence. And the more you do it, the more you can control the randomness. The more that you play with these techniques, the easier it becomes to make it look random, because that is what we're going for. We're going for a distressed impression on here. Oh yeah. Now you can even come down like so. You're going to apply it like that. Don't worry about what's going on in the numbers, because we're going to use some other colors in a second as well. So and then I can blend that out. Now, okay, that's pretty good. I'm gonna go heavy there. I don't know why. I just felt like doing that. It gives me the contrast. It helps with the overall. Now, Spar Blue. I'm gonna use this quite sparingly. This is a lighter blue. And I'm just going to pick out key areas. There, oh, that's lovely. That's really nice. So again, come from the top. Now, if I put this all over, I won't get that contrast that I'm looking for. So I have used it, as I said, quite sparingly. Now that's a good start. By itself, we're getting a kind of patina look going on there, which is really cool. But I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch from my sea sponge. Make sure, incidentally, when you're working with these, pop this straight into water and it washes out. Or even better, take it to the sink and wash it out. Now, I've spritzed into my acrylic. I'm just going to wipe that away, thanks to my wonderful Sizzix Maker's Mat. If you've never seen these before, they're wonderful. They roll up, they're really easy to store. Whatever mediums you're using, you're always going to get phenomenal results. Now, next up, this is called Matcha Green. And I want to get, this is where, again, we are talking contrast. Now, you can see I haven't put too much down there. And I'm going to pick it up with my brayer. Notice I'm lifting my brayer so that I get coverage all over, right? I'm going to start working over the top. See that magic working? Isn't that incredible? But I'm not going too heavy. I don't want to go through to the base layer. It doesn't matter if you get green on the base layer, because obviously with 3D embossing like this, there are levels. There are different levels, but that is heaven. Play around with color combinations. The crazier, the better. See what works for you. Pink and green is another great combination. Lilac and green. You know, oh, look at that. Look at that. Let's get over the 5 and the 3. Number 7 hiding up there in the corner. Okay, okay, this is really starting to take shape now. There. That is so cool, isn't it? Wow, what's not to love? Now, going back to what I was saying, you know, where I don't really care how often you've been a maker. Maybe this is all new to you. Maybe this is the first video of this kind you've ever seen. Maybe this is your introduction. And what I want you to go away thinking, hey, you know what? I could do that. That doesn't look too hard. Well, it's not. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's just having the confidence to be free, to just let it flow, to just have a go. There we are. Let's take now Buttermilk, an old favorite of mine. This is one I tend to use for highlights. I don't use black and white a lot. I tend to use creams and greys in their place, depending on the level of contrast I'm trying for. But yeah, so that's just gone, that's just a highlight. That's just raised it again. It's created even more contrast. So now we got that going on. Let's get rid of that. Some of that, you can pick this up with a clean piece of card if you're going for effect. You can spritz it, you can swash your card through there. Never waste this paint on your maker's mat. I'm just going to take more of it away. The great thing about these maker's mats as well, you know, there are some mediums and some paints that maybe they can stain slightly. But you can put these through the dishwasher. We have tried it. It does work. It doesn't distort the mat. It's a silicone mat after all. And you put silicone utensils through the dishwasher. It's just absolutely wonderful. Game changer. Now, I'm going to take my buttermilk again, put a little blob there. I'm also going to take charcoal grey. So these are taking the place of black and white. They're far more subtle. I'm going to spritz each one thus. Let's take my brayer. Now this brayer is part of a family of 3 different heads to go with my tool. So this is the tool handle that just snaps on. It's ready to go. There is another one of these. Oh, hang on, I've got it down here. 1 second. There it is. Those are my 2 palette knives. Great palette knives, really, really good quality. Lovely clean edges, but they have different properties. So this one is my blending palette knife. I love to blend colors with it, but I also love to do this. This helps get me that lovely contrast. And we were doing a brickwork video. And it really helps to make it look super, super distressed. Great thing about doing this with a palette knife is you can kind of control the direction of the spatters. So even though it looks random, you have a semblance of control, not complete and utter control, but that's fine. I can live with that. There you go. So next up, we'll go to the buttermilk. Try and keep it a sort of a creamy consistency. Oh, there you go. How about that? Look at that. That is wonderful. Now, normally, before I do the next step, I'd let it dry. But you, folks, could you imagine it would be literally like watching paint dry? So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bring in some stamps. Okay, let's clean that away. Again, look how quick and easy it is when you're using a mat like this. Let's put that to one side. And I've got, again, going away from black, I'm going to use watering can. This is Ranger Archival ink. And I've got 3 different stamps. Now, I know Tim's all about at the moment using what you got in your stash. This is a Tim Holtz stamp. This, I have no idea where this came from. And this was designed by a friend of mine, Andy Skinner, tremendous mixed media artist. So I'm going to use a combination of the 3. I'm just going to place that on there and come in. And it's very, very subtle indeed. It's not in your face. It's not over the top. The effect is really cool, but incredibly subtle. Let's take this one. So I'm just mainly stamping onto the numbers. Okay, again, I'm not pressing down too deeply, too heavily. And it's just there as an impression. So it doesn't matter what this says. It doesn't matter what the dates are on these. That is not important. What is important is the effect that it gives. What is important is the texture it creates, and it reinforces that kind of distressed look, which we know and love. Now, that's blues and greens going on there. Let's have a look at pinks and greens. How about that? So the background is greens and yellows, and the foreground is pinks. Again, coming in with the stamps, coming in with the splatters. Let's have a look at greens, and again, a different shade of green, a different shade of pink. Okay, but it's still looking cool. Then, oh, what a stunning combination. Lilac and green. Would you have ever put those together? Well, now you would, because that is incredible. Few more to be going along with this one. There's kind of a rust background, so I use those rusty kind of reddy browns, and then some patina colors over the top. So that would have been my Bahama blue again, and that lovely green going on in the background. Then this one again, going for the patina, brayering over the top. This one, you can see silver metallic card. Use a very thin layer of black and then just brush it back with a scouring pad. You can see the scratches in that as well. This one, I like this one. It's quite subtle, but it's using Distress Oxides directly on my embossing folder to get that effect. Then spritzing and then running it through the machine. Again, Distress Oxide background, brayering over the top. This is really cool. This is, I used Distress Oxide, but over the top I sprayed with some of the new Distress Spritz. But look at that. The way that it reflects the light as you see it from different angles, from different aspects. It's so cool. It's allowing the colors to come through, but it's giving me that lovely pearlescent sheen. Black card again, painted with a copper colored paint, and then some dark brown paint over the top, most of which I washed away with a damp cloth. And finally, our old favorite patina, again, over black. Now, here's a couple of ways. Now, obviously these are A5 folders. I've used them to create a couple of notebook covers. I'm going to do a lot more with these. I'm literally just scratching this surface, but as I said, it's one of my favorites, and it will keep on running and running. There you go. Wasn't that great? But not just great, it was easy. Okay, it's easy. It looks spectacular. The results are fantastic, but the techniques themselves, whether you're a seasoned professional or it's your first foray into these kind of techniques, you'll get the same results pretty much in 5 minutes flat. So much fun. Great leveler. But if you want to know more about this folder and the others in the series, that is cobblestone and brickwork, then there is an overview which I've filmed as well, or go to timholtz.com, get it from the source. And there are lots of inspiration on Instagram, on Facebook, on all the usual places that you go to. I'm sure you're going to have a heap of fun with Numbered. See you again soon.